that and the knowledge that Rick, you've left us in a much better place. And we appreciate what you have done for us in the time you've been here. You know, when Rick first arrived in October of 2019, you know, I knew that we were receiving somebody special from the enthusiasm, as you will hear from Helena Prince next, probably, of our selection committee. But I'm sure Rick nor anybody ever imagined what we would be in store for in 20 and 21. Certainly, being an interim pastor is, I'm sure, always being an interim anything is always a challenge. But to do so under the kind of extreme circumstances that we've had in this last year and a half have certainly been epic. And let me say that it has obviously been no day at the beach for anybody. But look at where we are right now. I mean, look at where we have come. We've not only survived, but we're thriving. And we could not have done so, Rick, without your leadership, your grace, and as I experienced many, many times, your wonderful sense of humor. Now, when Rick first joined us, I did realize, Rick, you were coming from an academic environment. And I thought you would be a perfect fit for First Pres in Ann Arbor. So perfect that you know that I had many conversations with you that, you know, maybe you should make this your permanent residence. I tried, members of the congregation, I tried, but obviously he had other things that he had to go back to, and we're happy that you're able to do that. But we also know that Rick, coming from an academic environment, I learned very soon that Rick is a lover of words, sometimes a lot of them, and But don't worry, Rick, I was always well trained by that, having worked with my good friend Chris Dahl on Personnel Committee for many, many years. I have to say that getting an email from Chris and Rick in one evening meant that I had plenty of bedtime reading lined up. And I usually had to have a thesaurus to get through some of these things because some of the vocabulary I didn't have. So anyway, but let me close by saying, Rick, that in my estimation, you're both a gentleman and a gentleman, something that we need a lot more in this world of people like you. Your calming spirit has carried us, your skillful insight has guided us, and your wonderful sense of humor has lifted us. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time you spent with us, and you'll be missed but never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Our second speaker is our dear Helena Prince. Helena?
He's muted.
All right, Helena, got to unmute and you'll be ready to go.
Oh.
Yeah, take it away.
All right. Sorry about that. Hello, Rick and Peter. Good morning. And hi, everybody. It's been such a joy to have Rick with us for this time of transition in this interim period. There are so many words of praise and appreciation I could use to describe Rick and his time with us. Of course, we all know and appreciate what an extraordinary preacher he is and what a gift he has with both the written and the spoken word and his ability to make the words of Scripture come alive. But for me, what I think makes Rick so special is how well he connects with people, whether it's in a large or a small group, a committee, or one-on-one. He does not find it necessary to always be in the limelight or to be the center of attention or to have the last word, even though he speaks lots of words. He really listens to others and lets others share the light. He is a man of humility. I remember my first one-on-one conversation with Rick over the telephone when we were discussing the possibility of him accepting the interim pastor position. And I mentioned that one of his main jobs would be preaching regularly at Sunday services. His response was that he realized that, but he hoped that there would also be plenty of opportunities for him to hear our other pastors preach, since he felt, and I quote, "It is good for the soul to hear a multiplicity of voices." I so appreciated that. I also remember the potluck we had for Rick shortly after he arrived, as I ushered him from table to table. It was obvious how much he enjoyed interacting with people and listening to what they had to say. It was very hard for him to get disengaged and move on to another table. I had to really encourage him to do that. Both the search committee and the staff, when he came to visit before we offered him the job, appreciated how easily he connected with people. We particularly noticed how he really listened to people before responding and really heard what they had to say. Rick, we will miss those connections with you, and we will find it very hard to disengage. I thank you so very much for your ministry with us and for your friendship. And Peter, thank you for your support of Rick's ministry with us. We truly appreciate that. My wish for both of you in Rick's second retirement is plenty of time together to enjoy conversations, walks, boat rides, travel, and time with friends. And also plenty of time to read and write whatever you desire. Godspeed.
Done.
It's all your fault.
And I'm glad of it.
Aren't we all? We'll take the blame anytime, Helena, and the credit.
I will.
Our next speaker was also someone that served on the interim search committee, and that is our dear Collier Smith. Collier.
Morning, everyone, and especially Rick and Peter. A while back, and it has been a while back, I remember Helena leading us in our discussion as far as what do we want to look for in an interim pastor? Do we want someone who's great in the pulpit, great presentation skills, or do we want someone who could really develop and lead our staff because of the turmoil that was happening during that time? Well, just like that commercial, we want it all and we want it now. However, the reality is it doesn't work that way. As we reviewed the resumes and the videos, pretty soon we found out there's just a handful that are really good at the pulpit and maybe not so good at the development of the staff. Or we would find people that were good at the staff and developing them and leadership, but maybe not so good at the presentation or at the pulpit. So we had a dilemma, and as we were continually getting feedback and we're going down a road with certain interim pastor search, we learned that we really need to bring the congregation together. So first and foremost, it really is about the pulpit and really engaging, bringing the Bible to life in every day of our work and our work in the community. And so Rick's name came up. Actually, we were down this road and miraculously Rick's resume came up. And I think Helena passed it on to Martha Crable because Martha is familiar with Williams College with her husband, Dave. And it turns out that as we were going down this road, I felt like we were on a train, and you know the rope where you yank it to stop the train? Well, Martha was pulling that rope. Stop what we're doing. We've got to focus on Rick. And I go, really? We're down this road and we're gonna, all right. And I remember reviewing Rick's video at Williams College with new students, perhaps existing students, their parents, as well as the faculty, and how well he resonated. And the next time we met, I said, Martha, you're right. Rick is the person. And so we went after Rick, we talked with him, felt really comfortable with him. And along the way, as he worked into our congregation, I realized something exciting, something very interesting phenomena was developing. And it didn't hit me at first, but as I was listening to more of his sermons and seeing more of the church services, I soon realized Rick has done it. The breadth and depth beyond Reverend Mel Rogers and Reverend Jay started to develop, and we started seeing new leaders with personalities, all with our common values. Evans, Andrew, who gives wonderful birthday messages on your voicemail, by the way, Kayla, Mark, Becca, David, and our new David. All these people coming in and showing leadership with the breadth and depth of our congregation. And I realized we are in the best possible position as we transition into a new permanent pastor. So Reverend Rick, and I just have to say that for your next chapter, I truly hope that you and Peter, this is the best time of your lives, because you have given so much admiration and respect that we have for you as you go out.
Thank you so much, Collier. Thank you.
Yes, Collier, thank you. And now we turn to another member of that committee, I believe. And we get to hear from a younger voice as well, from Flo Trevan. Welcome, Flo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So first of all, Rick, we will miss you so much. When Mel was reaching out for me to be a speaker, she was actually annotating me as a personal friend. And I was honored by that and delighted. Me being your friend, how amazing is that? And I know you've made a great number of friends at First Press. And I wonder if many of you all in front of your computers who had a chance to get to know Rick a little bit, if you feel just as uplifted as I do when you think about the thought of being Rick's friend. So what is it, dear Rick, that makes you so special to us? So I was thinking about what to say today, and I've never done such a thing before. And I thought if I could just try to understand and explain a little bit why I felt so uplifted when I thought I could be your friend, I think that would be a valuable thing to share. And so there's so many things that make you special, and I don't have a lot of time. So I focused on one thing that I think is a truly awesome quality of yours that I want to share today with everyone else. So Rick has this incredible presence when he connects to another human being that I don't think I have ever seen before in my whole life. And so he holds you in that presence, fully focusing on you in that moment. And this presence is filled with warmth and genuine care. So you know he's concerned for you, but not in an anxious way. It's more like he's wondering, as he engages with you, what amazing things you might be able to do in the future. And so when Rick is holding you in that presence, and I find this so remarkable. There's no ego, there's no agenda. But it doesn't at all mean that he's out of the window. What it really means is he's right there, personal, who he truly is, sharing what he truly thinks. This truth in his presence, I think, is fundamentally based on love for others and a selfless service. And it's so uncommon and so refreshing in a world where pretty much everything is about tilting perception and looking special. So when Rick connects with you on that personal level, I think it becomes an expression of truth and love at the same point in time. And I'm just amazed by it. And I have to admit that it makes me feel a little special if I could just be your friend, Rick. A friend like you, even though I'm nothing like that myself. So dear Rick, dear Peter, know this, you've done amazing things for this church and we will be forever grateful. And as you go out onto your next adventure, do remember that you have made real friends here at First Pres, friends who care for you, and friends who will be there for you whenever you need us. We will miss you.
Oh, Flo, my friend. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is speaking on behalf of our staff. If he's here, I'm going to see if Jay is here. He had to leave for a minute to start another meeting. Is Jay here?
It just bounced back, Mel.
All right, good. I'm going to turn it over to you. And while you're speaking, Jay, I'm going to run down to the other end of the hallway and put some things in front of Rick to open in just a minute.
Well, great. Well, thanks for everyone joining today, but most especially we want to stop, pause, and give thanks for Rick Spalding and his ministry among us. When we set out on this course, oh, I don't know how many months ago now, it seems, we knew that we needed a voice and a preacher and a theologian, but what we got was so much more. We got a friend, we got a gentle but firm spirit, and we got one who helped reshape the conversation and the tone and the content of how First Pres guides and leads itself. Inserted himself in the session, but as a wonderful, generous moderator, but also was the core and the moderator for our staff. And we thank Rick for the innumerable hours of coaching, of prodding, of saying, well, just respond. I would just like to push back just a little bit here, or I would just like to add my 2 cents. And then every time he added his 2 cents or pushed back a little bit, Rick did something to make us into a better team, a better staff, and better colleagues. And that, in fact, is a true gift. So we offer to Rick now some tangible gifts that come to you, Rick, from all sorts of places. As you know, we put together a little gift for you and Peter to have a meal together at Boston at one of your favorite restaurants. We also had a gracious party hosted by Dave Vandermeer and Brent Ivy at their place, where we told fun stories about meals and breaking bread together, which is one of your favorite pastimes. We also have other gifts that we would add now into the life of the church. And hang on, let me see here. I got to correct something.
I wonder how we get to see everybody. There's 85.
And so, Rick, we pause now as your colleagues and friends in ministry to recognize the gifts you have so freely shared with us and the culture that you have helped create that will be a culture that will continue to influence our church for many, many, many years. We're ever so grateful. And we're going to try to plant in the waiting furrows of our world a little bit of the seed that you have given us. And we hope that you will watch it grow. And perhaps if your journeys lead you and Peter back to Ann Arbor for some reason, that you can both water the furrows and also see the fruit and pluck the fruit that you have planted. So as our brother, our friend, our colleague, we wish you nothing but grace and peace in these days. So I think Mel has a few tangible things that she would now offer to Rick. So beware, here they come.
Thank you. Yeah, they're here. Is this my cue to dive in?
This is your cue to open your first gift,
All right.
and I'll try to talk about it while you're doing that. I'm going to keep you spotlighted. We will open it up for other people to speak after we get through the presentation of gifts, so don't go anywhere. This we made last week at our walkthrough. It's an Easter gift for you of our prints, our thumbprints, because you've left your print on our heart and on our church. We want you to have this as a reminder.
That's great. That looks like the drive-through, the stroll felt colorful and a tiny little bit chaotic, but mostly just full of love and grace. That's just lovely. And how sneaky of you to have done it during the stroll while I was busy talking too long at the blessings.
I'm going to ask if Becca wants to say anything about that too. This is a gift of our children as well. Becca, are you here?
Yeah.
I am, yes. Yep, just as Mel said, you left an imprint on our heart, and so we wanted to leave an imprint on your hearts as well. And we are so thankful for the time that you spent with us, for having a pastor, an interim pastor, that was willing to listen to me gripe and complain and say, well, what about the children? And I so appreciate how much effort you put into bringing children and families to the forefront during your time here. And I think all of the children and families are especially thankful for that as well, since that's not always the job of the interim pastor, but we are so grateful to have you advocating for us and on our behalf all the time.
God bless you for your incredible, just heroic Energizer Bunny advocacy, Becca. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for being the champion of a whole generation.
Thank you very much, Rick.
So here's what Mel says is next.
All right, let me get Michelle Madden up here. Michelle, I'm looking for you so I can spotlight you. Are you
All
unmuted?
right, I'm here.
I think if you start speaking, you should show up at the front of my many screens. I'm looking. There you are. Okay, hold
All
on.
right.
1 second.
Well, as deacons, we've been so inspired by your compassion, your generosity of spirit, and your shepherding during these revisioning times in our church and turbulent times in our society. You've been such a blessing to us as we try to figure out who we are as a Christian community. And the deacons have prepared a book of blessings for you to take with you to your home with Peter in Ipswich and to your second attempt at retiring. And we thank John the Duke for creating this beautiful volume of blessings, which I will briefly share. The blessings and remembrances. Share just a few pages here. So thank you so much for providing us with the leadership and inspiration that put us on a path of healing and anticipation of the untrodden paths we'll be exploring together this coming year to make God's love visible in this church and in our world. And I know Carol Gottliebson would like to add a few words as well.
I just need to pipe in. Doug and I both so appreciate you for your leadership, your friendship. But, you know, we deacons, Doug, me, Michelle, so listen, and you have been understanding, representing love to each and every member of our congregation. And we just wanted to offer you some blessings, because you have been a blessing to each and every one of us, not just giving us blessings as we've strolled through, but also in connecting with so many and serving as an example to every deacon on ways in which we can do that better. So we thank you, and we wish all God's peace to be with you always.
Thank you, Carol.
Amen.
Thank you so much. This is gonna last me for the rest of my life. Just taking these blessings, drinking these blessings in. I never heard of a church anywhere that had the Bible uses this word in a mixed way, so I'm going to use it too that way, in a positive way. An army of angels, an army of caregivers, a heavenly host that's really an earthly host of deacons to take care of each other. And the pastoral care of this congregation is absolutely dazzling. And I'm speechless as I think about it. So to all of you who are deacons or ever have been deacons or ever will be deacons, which is a simple way of saying everybody,
Yeah.
Thank you for this indelible blessing. So beautiful. Okay.
Now we come to our next gift. If I've got them
Here's
in
the
the right order.
next one looks good. These notice the paper. It reminds me of Becca 2 Sundays ago, getting us all finally unstuck from the cold, sluggish winter and waving those palms with Hosanna after Hosanna. Becca, that was one of the greats, the all-time greats. Oh, this looks like an Angie Miller. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Oh, look,
Dingle.
along the coast of Dingle, which is where we were, as many of you probably know. It's where
Right.
Peter and I were. It's where we stalled for a month before I came to Ann Arbor. We had a long planned vacation in Ireland on our schedule, and so this is a good moment to say that one measure of the generosity of First Pres is that I keep getting credit for having been here for 21 months or 22 months or something like that. I mean, by the old-fashioned arithmetic that I was taught to do, it was 18, and it's 18 and a half. So thanks for the interest earned while I was on deposit. But anyway, this is how I spent one of those. Yeah, that's it. How I spent my first month at First Pres was on the coast of Dingle, which is time honored because the family of First Pres goes on pilgrimages to places like that all the time. Anyway, it's beautiful. Angie, thank you so much.
I think that's the Three Sisters. This is where we looked
Yeah?
it up. I know the spot.
How about that? Wow.
Just
Angie, were
make
you
sure-
on the when did this painting paint itself in your heart?
I was there just last fall, or well, no, the fall before close down. I had been there before I met our pilgrims in Scotland. I had Tom and I had gone there for a couple weeks, and I would have spent all my time on the Dingle once I discovered it. It's a fabulous place. So I had not painted. I'd only done one painting, and I had these two spots that I wanted to paint still. So I got busy and I did one, and then I did a second one because I was so back to the Dingle Peninsula. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. So I assume you're going back.
You in a heartbeat? Yep. We had a trip scheduled for last June that fell victim to COVID. It's now been rescheduled for September, and we're praying with all our hearts that that can work. But we'll go there eventually, and we'll say hi to it for you. Or no, actually, better, we'll look for you, Angie, because you'll be there.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good time to tell you then, Rick, that one present that's not in your office is a financial gift that is coming to you from the church, and it is the Rick and Peter Return to Ireland Fund. And we these two gifts go together because we know that you're going back there with all of our love and blessings to you on that trip.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now the final gift. Thank you, Angie, so much. You are awesome. I appreciate you more than you can know. The final gift here is from, let's see if I can see them with us today. I'll let you open and looking for them. Hold on. So we know that you love angels, particularly the angel at your house. And so this is based on Psalm 34:7. This is the verse: on every side, the Lord's messenger protects those who honor God, and he delivers them. And my friend Rick, you have very much honored God in this work that you have done among us. And so we present this Malcolm Powers original to you on behalf of Malcolm and Marion and our congregation.
Is this?
So this is an angel of protection And as you know, this is Malcolm Powers, who also did Malcolm's Cross on the terrace. And
Wow, that's amazing. I think this one has been with me for well, probably forever, but at least since October of 2019, because the only way I can really understand having arrived at this particular point is thanks to the ministration of angels. Now I know what they look like. Wow. Thank you, Malcolm, and thank you, church. This is just exquisite. Yeah. Oh my. Thank you.
so now we're going to open it up for the congregation to speak.
And Mel, you had asked me earlier, you had emailed and said, did I want to say something formal? And I know that many people want to speak, but I just want to say, just a few words, because this has felt for me for the year and a half that I found another church home. I'm sort of amazed at how welcomed I have felt and how much I've wanted to participate. Even the 6 or 7 times I came for a week or two, or when I was there virtually. And it's a place where I sort of felt utterly at home, which I never would have expected. But the thanks are to all of you for your welcome, for your spirit, for your erudition. I've learned so much from so many of the members whom I've met, and sitting in on the coffee hours and participating in the last year and a half. But something that I also just want to thank you all for is having this amazing time of having invited Rick to be with you. This has been a dream of his forever, to be with a spirited, big church that does so much, that deals with heart, with intellect, with everything. And it has been what it had been longer, this kind of call, and it could only happen now. We're old geezers, in our late 60s, but the fact that it has happened, that it did happen, with all my heart, I thank you for helping make a real dream for Rick come true. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Oh, and thank you.
Thank you both.
so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Peter. Thank you for being here this day, this special day.
As we go to, it's hard to follow that, isn't it? I just want to say personally, Rick, you know that I've had to be a pretty huge consumer of grace over the last 18 months. And we say in our tradition that a sacrament is a visible sign of an invisible grace. And while you're not exactly a sacrament, that would be heresy, there's a sacred spirit in you that I'm very deeply indebted to and grateful for, and know that I'm here in this job today still because of that grace that God saw fit to bestow upon us all. So thank you for that, my colleague and friend. I'm going to open it up to all of you. And if you could wave or put it in the chat bar that you'd like to speak, I'm going to try to get to everyone. As we go to the noon hour, Dave Vandermeer, I'm going to make you the host because I have to start the next meeting and I don't want you all to go anywhere. But if people would like to speak, I'll call upon you, and I'll start with Chris Lynn. And remember to unmute when you speak, please, and I'll spotlight you.
So hi, Rick and
Hi, Chris.
you. Nice to meet you. Just to take a quick second and to really, as a member and also Deacon of Chapel 42, acknowledge and really thank with so much gratitude, not only your presence, but guidance and inspiration over the last 18 months. Just briefly, personally, I really recall, I don't know if it was 16 or 18 or 20 months ago, but we were back at Monteith Hall and back row, I think. And afterwards, you greeted me, shook my hand and said, "It's so nice to have you in our church." And it was like, I think Helena said, very connecting in just 1 minute. And since then, we've been able to watch you and be inspired by your sermons. And then the other really notable memory that I have is remember the drive-through at Christmas. And I thought I loved my car, but then I never saw it blessed by somebody to bless the car in a COVID-friendly environment, right? And lastly, a special surprise last week, just doing my Lily duty, a beautiful blessing came through my window with a good paragraph that I'll keep forever. So thank you for that. And just lastly, with being uplifted to your professional sermons and homilies, in my memory include not only the finding of hands from our deacon night or deacon day, but also the Easter faith sermon, and of course your benediction that is now famous to the church. So with that, I know you'll travel well and hope you come back to Ann Arbor, Rick and Peter. So please, I thank you with love, peace, and respect.
Thank you, Chris. And just everybody remember, it's not good to drive around in unblessed cars. So I really think you need to make a thing out of that. You know, it's not safe out there. Bless those cars.
It's better than insurance.
Yeah. Maybe not better, but good in a different way.
All right. I'm going to move to Tim Dickinson next, please.
Thanks. Rick and Peter, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've done. My first meeting of Rick was during the initial COM draft presentation to session. And I was a bit of the ogre in the room and had some complaints about it. And I looked over and I saw this nice man in the beard. And I had been involved a little bit with his bringing him on, but I hadn't met him or actually spoken to him. And I kept looking over and I said, wow, this guy is going to think I am just a horrible person by the end of this first meeting. So I want you to know, Rick, I've had a little guilt about that. I've carried with me all along, but I want to thank you for just all the tremendous things you've done in helping us heal in the church and move forward with all of our activities, which is where we all want to go. You've been a magnificent preacher for everybody out there. I've razzled Rick a little bit because he likes to lift us up, and he lifts us up physically as he does that, which I've liked. And Peter, he says he gets that from you. So last but not least, I want to thank Peter for allowing us to have some of Rick during this last 18 months. We have loved him and we appreciate him. And thank you, Peter, to you also for the grace that you've been willing to give us. So thank you, Rick. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you. You are forgiven. You didn't need to be, but it was a great introduction to the fact that you all said you wanted session to step up and be the session, and you were that night. And I knew I knew that good things were already happening that night. So let go of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Going to move to Olivier Julien now, please.
So we've picked it up. Our service now begins, okay? And I think you knew we were pretty stubborn because you needed to repeat it at least 50 times for us. The second thing I want to mention is every time I think nearly preaching, but today, in fact, we need to go in our dictionary, and it's not, we had an advantage. I mean, we know Latin, I mean, as French speakers, so the complex word, usually we picked it up, but there was always a new word. Today, I don't think I will go to the dictionary, but we had the good newsing. I mean, I think that's that's the one we can keep.
Find that.
And the third things I would say is, it's amazing. I think we met in closer circle only 3 times. And I feel, yes, you are family. And I think I'm not the only one to feel that because of this pandemic, we couldn't meet, but we've met, you brought us this personal relationship that we needed in this time. And it's such a blessing simply by who you are and who you are together also. We'll remember you and we'll continue to love you simply.
Merci, mon vieux. À bientôt.
À bientôt.
All right, next we have, thank you, Olivier. Next we have Jim Mulcrone, who will be followed by Susan Whitlock.
Thank you. Rick, you left us with many meaningful comments over the years, but one of the things that really resonated with me was in one of the devotionals, you quoted noted Jewish poet, scholar, and Canadian Leonard Cohen about the cracks in the darkness, that's how the light gets in. And I'm familiar with that, and that really resonated with me. So there's a lot more light in the world in Ann Arbor, and it was relevant to our times and to our church, but there's a lot more light now from the time that you've been here, and I really appreciate that. And that really resonated with me, and thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Jim.
I can send it to your phone, no problem. Thank you. Sorry, I missed a part of that, but is
the light gets in.
Okay. If Jim is done, we're going to go to Susan Whitlock, please. Thank you.
All right. Hi, Rick. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Susan.
It's great to be with you. There have been so many words about your ways with words, but of course I have to say a few more because what is so remarkable is that the way you use words is not to decorate, but to plumb the depths of human experience in this world. And you've done that. You do that about individual experiences, and you capture the broad range of the experiences there are, and whether biblical or present. You also have a deft way of seeing communal experience, explaining and finding the contours of communal experience, including our own. I love, there's this particular deft thing you do sometimes when there has been yet another outrage in the news cycle and you've already prepped your sermon. You can't go all the way there, but with 3 words, you remind us that we are a collective and that we have to look at things. And those 3 words are, God forgive us. And it makes a huge difference, even that. So thinking about both seeing and finding and lifting up individuals and communities, I just want to also honor the miracle it was to have you leading us when this pandemic hit, because as a gay man, you lived through and saw an epidemic that is still not over, but you learned so much, and we gathered your wisdom about how to think about each other, how to think about each other, how to think about what's happening in the world, to not be bitter, to not blame, to share this experience together and take what we can from it. So I thank you deeply for that. And my benediction for you and Peter going forward is, I had to write some words, is that you will find and build more and more communities of people that are filled with delightful differences. People, individuals that you can learn from and that you can teach. And a collective sense of moving forward with love and faith and hope to set God's world to right and to bring peace to all of us. Thank you. And I will see you on the North Shore.
See you there.
Probably next month.
Thank you. Let me know.
Thanks, Susan. Next, we have Carter Hodgson.
Oh, thank you. Well, Rick, I think I first met you at one of the dinners as we were gonna, I think you were still thinking about us and we might have been thinking about you. I don't remember getting a blessing for my vehicle that night, if you'll recall, but I'm sure you've done that many times over, but I want to thank you and also with Dick Carlisle, who, I got placed in a position of being on the personnel committee this year and been there for a couple of years, but being a chair, and I really could not have been able to do what I've done without you and really Dick Carlisle too. So I appreciate all your guidance. Whenever I had a question, I could email you, call you, and you responded quickly and have helped me a lot. And I know we all at the church appreciate all your wisdom as to for getting us, for moving us forward. And with our strategic plan and everything, we appreciate everything you've done for us.
Thanks, Carter. I wasn't brave enough to be blessing cars during my first couple of visits to Ann Arbor, but I just want you to, I know the yellow car is history now, but I want you to know I would have blessed it if I had been brave enough, and I'm happy to bless the next one whenever.
I'll let you know, it's on the way. I'll let you know.
Good. Yeah, and driver.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carter. Rick, I know that lots of folks will be saying more things to you in the days to come, both in written and spoken form, but I want to give you at least the last word. If it isn't the last word, at least a word here.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. I really take to heart in such a deep way your affirmations and your gratitude. Thank you so much. I do think that a church that has had in the past a series of beloved pastoral leaders tends to maybe see the well-being of the church as a reflection of that person's leadership, a steady hand at the helm or something like that. And there's a lot of organizations in the world that work that way, that look to the qualities of leadership at the center or something as some kind of barometer of how things are going. And I appreciate that some people at First Pres have seen things that way here, perhaps. But I want, it would not feel right to me to step away from First Pres without telling the truth about that, which is that this ship is not sailing toward the rocks at all. In fact, it's bounding joyfully on the waves and blown by the wind of God's Spirit, for the particular reason that it is. Oh, I have to let go of this metaphor soon, but it is being sailed by a remarkable group of people who are the ones who are responsible for the vitality and the heartwarming strength of the church as it is now. I stepped into the midst of that to fill a space that where a pair of hands was needed, and I'm glad that my hands were useful during that time. But I want to name and acknowledge all the hands on this deck, because together they are responsible, they have been responsible, and they will be responsible for the thriving of this enterprise in weeks and months and years and years and years to come. Of course, particularly Jay Sandiford and Melissa Ann Rogers, their incomparable commitment to this church, joined recently by Evans McGowan, not recently in terms of joining the staff, but now as an assistant and perhaps soon an associate pastor. Their pastoral leadership has been such a godsend to you all, joined by Mark Morris and Becca Torres Davenport, such passionate advocates, such skilled practitioners of ministry, are just phenomenal residents, Andrew, Kayla, Amy Roof, all of those people together providing ministry to this church, joined also by the Ministry of Fine Arts and Music, Dave Vandermeer, Paul Habig, and now today, wasn't that something, riding the wave of David Hufford's artistry. All of those people are responsible for the soundness, the vitality of this enterprise, but not just them. Linda Robinson, Anna Miller, Adrian Prundeanu, and their colleagues, Almer and Alyssa and Robin and Pat and Diane. All of those people are responsible for the vitality and the health of this church. And not just people who are present here now, but people whose legacies we continue to lean on and depend on. Mary Jones, Lisa Hadrell, Amy Roof, as I mentioned before, Sandy Talbot, and Sandy's wonderful successors, Stacy and Barb. All of those people, church, I want you to hear me say, all of those people together have made the church that you love and are so committed to. And I feel so lucky to have spent, I don't know, 18, 19, 22, however many months it was. Time flies when you're having fun. In the company of those people. They're why I came here, because I couldn't really see very many of you except for the little merry band that Helena had assembled on the search committee. So it was to stand among those people in that circle that I chose to come, as reckless a thing as that was for me to do, and as wonderful a thing as it was to do. I want you to know that. I want you to remember that on this day I said that, because nothing is more important to me. And then I also just want to acknowledge, while gifts are changing hands, that Peter and I are sitting in front of a tapestry that you've seen before in a couple of places in First Pres publications. I brought it with me. I know the artist, his name is Edwin Sulca. He's a Peruvian, and I guess I could say a dear friend. This tapestry is called Folding Up the Past. It's about putting away, but not erasing, but putting away the things that have happened in the past so that we can move forward. It has a longer, more richer, more beautiful story that I won't take time to tell now. But Peter and I live in a little old house now on the North Shore of Massachusetts, where there's not so much room for big pieces of art anymore. And so a couple of weeks ago, it dawned on me that this tapestry had come to the right place in coming to First Pres. So it will stay here with you all as a sign of my gratitude and delight in having done ministry with you for this time. Dave Vandermeer will figure out what the right place to put it is. Certainly not this office. This office belongs to someone else. Far be it for me to leave a fingerprint here, but Dave will find a place for it somewhere in the church. So when you look at it, think about folding up the past. I think of this as a visual image of forgiveness, which is really what forgiveness is: folding up the past, putting it in its place, not erasing it, but not giving it more power than it deserves. So that's all I got. Just wanted to be sure and say those things while there's still a few people listening.
Wow, that's just leaves me speechless. I'm sure all of us are at that gift that you're giving to us, yet another gift. Thank you so much, Rick and Peter, both of you. And I'm going to turn now and make sure I probably didn't get to hear from everybody, but I'm going to turn it over to Dave Vandermeer to end it with a blessing for us, because I have to go welcome new members. Thanks to the staff, we continue
And what better to do? What better thing to do? Yes, you have to go out and come back and bring some new members with you, as you always do.
Indeed. Just well, let us do this. I'm going to invite everyone to place their hands upon Rick and Peter at this time. And Peter and Rick, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you. May the Lord gift you with peace and courage and great and infinite blessings. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Go with God. We love you. We thank you. And we will remember you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. There will be no small groups today. We'll see you next week for coffee hour and a return to the breakout rooms. Couldn't be better. See you then.
See ya.
Everybody.
Bye, Rick.
Bye,
Rick.
all.
Bye, Rick.
Bye.
God bless you. Bye. Love you.
Bye, Rick. We'll miss you.
Love you all. Thank you for
Bye.
everything.
Bye, Rick. Bye, Peter.
Bye, Rick.
Bye.
For everything.
Bye,
Thanks.
Rick.
Godspeed.
Bye, Rick.
Bye.
And Ireland.
Rick, we'll miss you.
Goodbye, Rick.
Ready?
Yes.